Izzy and Miss Anna. And then several of our CAOs had the ability to attend the Student Support Summit that was put on by LSU. And they were able to attend this. It was focused on like providing advising to athletes. But on the next page, you'll see some of the feedback from our comprehensive advising officers that speaks to the advantages or the benefit that they received from this particular summit. So Chelsea, Darius, you gave some feedback. You can go to the next slide. Yes.
We have to, something pops up.
Go back.
Advance slide.
And then go back. Gotcha. Okay, but this is feedback from our CAOs, basically speaking to the benefit of attending that summit. They left kind of with a better understanding of how to advise athletes, but then some of the benefits and some of the information that they received kind of will help with their advising the students who happen to not be athletes. And then in April for our student network group, Mr. Beeman was our keynote speaker for the month, and then for that particular one focused on resume building. Then the next month, next slide, was our completion celebration, and so our very own Dr. Craig and Major Freeman served as speakers for the completion celebration, which is where we kind of honor our graduates from the student network group, which also includes Chelsea Hopkins as well. And then a testimonial for one of our students who participates in the network group, Ms. Martin. And so she recently earned her nursing degree and has recently accepted a position with Our Lady of the Lake. And so really wanted to highlight that. She's been very active in our networking groups as well. You know, she comes back to visit and kind of give a testimonial, and we have some photos of her on the next slide. So it just kind of points to the work that we've been doing. Next slide. Oh, thank you. And there she is, pictured with one of our comprehensive advisory administrators, Ms. Charnel Tanner. And then there was a job fair. We do a lot of work with reentry services. And of course, Daniel is one who handles a lot of those events. And so this one was the City of Faith Reentry Services job fair. So he was able to work alongside community organization and employers to serve those individuals who are about to enter. And then we also had a outreach activity that was kind of geared towards National Guard members and those who are on active duty. And this was attended by Ms. Trudy, co-located in the Lake Charles area. The LAHEC Summit, which was put on by the Board of Regents and Ms. Allison Smith, is one of the events that our comprehensive advising officers have been attending for the past year or two. And so this was an opportunity not only for them to kind of get some professional development in, but they also have the opportunity to kind of speak to the, to offer or to explain the comprehensive advising services that Law Spud is able to provide. And then this is Trudy again at the East Cowboy Camp. And so during the summer, we have lots of preview days and things of that nature going on. I think this week we had like twice as many events as we did last week, just because tis the season for preview days and freshman orientation. And then this is she's co-located at Wellman, and so this is her at the Washington Parish Community Resource Fair, which is geared towards veterans, but then also just the general public as well. She's able to provide resources on kind of what the agency can provide. And then Shiloh, this was actually Miss Yvette. This was her first presentation. So we've done events with Shiloh for the better part, probably like 8 to 10 years. Every summer they have us come out and speak to their students for their summer enrichment program. So really proud of the work that Miss Yvette does. She was a counselor at St. John across the river. And so just very glad to have her as a member of the team. She brings a wealth of knowledge as a counselor, a private school counselor as well. So happy to have her. From what I hear, she did a great job at this event. And then Miss Anna Bro facilitated the TOPS Home Study webinars on May 5th and 6th. And this is specifically towards TOPS processing for home study students who qualify under alternate eligibility. So they're a little bit different, how brick and mortar students process. So that was for those students who are very appreciative for Anna. And then Kylie and Anna and I facilitated the top step orientation for our 25 graduates. So those students are the ones who will be enrolled full-time this fall in order to take advantage of their top step award. So we had 353 attendees. 79% indicated that the main barrier to using the top step award is not knowing where to start the process. So we tried to clear some of that up during the webinar, and 97% expressed strong interest in using their top step webinar, the top step award. And so one of the things that we do is that we do ask some questions to try to keep them out at the beginning, like asking, like, have you used it? Are you in a top step program right now, so that can follow up with students if they're like feeling issues. And sometimes we have a couple of students who actually were in top step eligible programs, but they hadn't been filled, so that allows us to troubleshoot well. And this will segue into Shane's slide, because we shared the information for the virtual community college fair with those top step students as well.
So for campaigns and messaging that we've done past several months, April was National Financial Literacy Month. We shared graphics and information about different concepts of financial literacy, positive financial skills, how to budget, financial matters intelligence that contribute to stress, which means they find and contribute to large amount. For April, Able to Save Month, we shared information about the Skill Able program, limits to saving, eligibility, qualified expenses, and fees that are available. National Apprenticeship Week, which was from April 26th to May 2nd. We shared information about apprenticeships, what they are, myths associated with apprenticeships, highlighted our partners that participate in our virtual apprenticeship fair. College Decision Day on May 1st. This is where schools, counselors, organizations come together at those events where students announce where attending college. We also wanted to celebrate those attending different pathways, 4-year, 2-year grade school, those certified registered apprenticeship or military service. Sure, we're running all of those post-secondary choices. Really want to expand this next year and develop a toolkit provide that will assist organizations and schools posting their events. Homeschool Awareness Month was in May, so we shared information about why students and parents would choose the homeschool option, of course, eligibility for TOPS, as well as information about study that was hosted on May 6th. May was National Foster Care Month, so we shared information about the Chafing program, as well as resources and information that is available to students in the foster care program. May 29th was Happy Nations 529 Day, National 529 Day. Of course, throughout the month, they shared information about all 3 programs, and on the 29th, we shared a graphic, shared a reel that was created by our team, and Regents also proposed to sponsors of legislation to manage repairs of the census, and then transition will be taking place early in the fall. Of course, people will get more information about that. It's like this one. Some of the other graphics that we shared throughout May up to May 20th. For media mentions, we had articles about our Regents, what we mentioned. We shared our summer camp directory that was picked up by a few outlets. Any of the changes to TOPS, the email campaign that was sent out, resources for secondary access for that, and then we had changes to the TOPS category. For our social media metrics, we had almost had views of our content from the 6th campaign. They reached almost 150,000 people, and our top performing posts for that period were the Men's Busted 529 Saving Programs information we shared today. Summer funding information had over 50,000 views on our social media platforms, and then for website traffic, TOPS of course leads the way. Student Hub has taken up in popularity as well during this period. We are looking at J. Foster probably take Student Hub next month, whenever we launch the application, so actually don't information about that. Communications highlights, the website transition launched took place yesterday. Working on making sure that edits we suggested are altered with identifying links or anything like that. So continue to make that transition over. For the contract this month. We're currently reviewing our publications and presentations for next year, and we are preparing our content messaging for the changes our programs that we have, as well as stops processing, fast completions. Things that are upcoming, making sure that we have presentations and publications ready and printed for outreach and articulation taking place in August. And then, of course, J. Foster Homes application launching on first, pushing outreach and requests, make sure that those 700+ events are starting to get scheduled as early as possible. Fast the digital campaign and the changes that have taken place to J. Foster Homes top tech transition 529 programs over to the census. Partnership engagement participated in this awareness day for the capital. This really highlighted a lot of work that different organizations have been doing to assist those in our state disabilities. So we were able to highlight programs as part of that. Participated in DCSF, DCFS Foster the Connection virtual conference. And for that, Foster is now listed on the Louisiana Foster Care Support Directory now. So they know that we are available to assist them with secondary needs and of course sharing information about the Chaffin program. Our partnership with Ochsner participated in their Success Bite series for their employees, and Trudy and Kayla really did a great job putting together resources that they share about access to different financial aid programs that will be available to adult learners that they can utilize for to visualize option. For the Special Olympics Louisiana, we continued that partnership with them, participated in their state summer games. And so we had some games set up. They were participating in this, shared information on resources, and of course, the LA program. Two of our student network group students participated as volunteers, and they actually were able to get direct assistance from Loss Fund to connect them with information about workforce training for justice involved students. And we're able to assist them with college access issues that they were having against eligibility for Pell Grants. So not only were they there to help assist others who were participating, they received assistance themselves. For our Penn State reentry simulation, we partnered in to have this program for justice involved individuals. So from this, we're actually to develop a college access reentry simulation. So this is reentry in general. Back into society really isn't one that is geared to college access. So from this, we're going to partner in first year experience at Northwestern State University. They have a really great first year practice program. And we're going to be able to take some elements of that and adapt to how we can work with different populations. It's something we're working on. And hopefully have some programming in the summer and November. Go into it. Yes, it's two parts. General reentry, college access. We partnered with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Slidell Alumni chapter participated in their scholarship workshops, which won an award. So they were very, very thankful to us and provided a really nice quote about the services that we provide and the impact that it has on students. So very honored for them to reach out to present information on financial aid topics, scholarships we have, assist with fast completion, and any college access resources that they have available to them. We're actually working with them to create a customized flight tour mentioned in for students again in the future. For partnership engagements, things we have in progress, summer facility tours with Energy, summer camp director, continuing to get requests for updates to those. Our foster care teams working on identifying resources in place that you can better serve this population. Continue work to have talent through LHC group and AHEX some facility tours, and we're continuing to work with Veterans Affairs, creating more resources available to them. Site also, in part two of the LP Fast Start campaign, we're still trying to figure out how we can contact this target group, trying to get top eligible students to return to Louisiana or learning athletics. Their paths really to the big state, of course, the reincarnation. And it's.
Guys.
And this is, you came up just because also community, it's start. When the changes occurred for the training. Well, done any from in terms of expansion of what so.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Can you
Sorry.
speak a little louder?
So it's, I can be louder, I'm just trying not to, well, sorry. So with the, one big thing, feel like there were a number of changes that occurred to 520. It expanded the usage of it for a lot of things, particularly dual enrollment tuition. And that was enacted, and with the bill that was recently enacted, where there's gonna be a same application for dual enrollment student populations. I was asking, have y'all done any type of promotion of the changes to programs, such as the annual limit, double K-12, things like that, but also in terms of qualifying spaces.
Yes, so we did update the collateral, like the changes of the bill. However, transition over to a census, they will be a lot of questions of that. And so we're trying to have conversations about exactly what they'll be involved.
Okay.
From that, those things will of course be.
Got
We're sort of in that transition here, but all the materials that we have, the presentations, handouts, all that does reflect the changes.
Okay, yeah, that was, I was talking to somebody the other day about application,
Right.
and then when you talk about application.
Yeah, and we're still negotiating with those, how much we'll still do, how much the census is going to do, but in regards to dual enrollment, you bring up a good point that I'll have conversations with with Elizabeth Bentley Smith about.
Okay.
Moving forward, that's great, thank you for bringing that to my attention, because we are, as we move forward with the single application. I think that's gotta be part of the conversation, so.
Yeah, I
thank
mean,
you
but
for
I was
that.
thinking like with a single application, you could put a little something
No, I
in
think
there
that's
that
great.
says, hey, you know, you use your 529 fund. So.
One more thing, I just wanna bring up, she brought up the big bill act. You know, it did expand the use of 529 funds for the value.
Right.
As long as those credentials value are offered by somebody who's been certified to do such things. In the 529 community, there are questions about exactly what that means. And a letter was sent this week to Congress, I believe, requesting that, or no, it was sent to the IRS requesting some guidance on what those things mean. But like I said, it was just sent this week, so obviously updates on that. But should they promulgate for 529 or provide some guidance, I will certainly let y'all know.
Sure.
Just so that, and of course, let our staff know so that we can provide those explanations.
Okay, absolutely.
And I'm sure that a census will be very well aware.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and in another area, just because I have to think, kind of a small, one of the things is standardized test fees. CTSA is now eligible expense for 529s. So some families made a mistake for 529s. They're not taking the test because they can't pay the fee. That's not things wrong. No, that's simple. So that doesn't.
I have a quick curiosity question. How do we start working with Penn State? That's just the.
Yeah, we've been kind of in the distance space, particularly since, you know, we had the NCAN Ascending grant where that really kind of introduced us to some of these other organizations, particularly Tulane. I believe Tulane may have been the connecting.
Tulane and Loyola.
Yeah, I can see Penn State went over, Penn State just.
Yeah.
They were part of a group that we were Ascendium, and they were all together as part of this group, and the connection was made to that.
That's great, thank you.
Well,
We have another very things that I think we'll be able to do in college,
As
That might be fast.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank you, we have somebody else coming into this room, so I asked them to, sure, be brief.
Morning, everyone. We'll start off with the GO grant. The remaining balance, $145,000, and that amount has been, reallocated to those schools who exhausted their eligibility by the March 24th deadline and the correction deadline. And I think all of them will be, processed today. So that'll be running the system and we'll, and then we'll have refunds next week. That's just the way it happens. And we won't be able to use it because the income not available, but the current year balance will be exhausted when we run programming today, for that. On the, John R. Justice, we have one pending and that was signed off on this week. So that person will run through, we'll have all of the John R. Justice money for this year. We did apply, as I mentioned last week, for a new solicitation, but they have not notified us how much that will is on how the feds allocated and send that to us, but we are taking applications. Just don't know how much money we'll have to give out for that. Next slide. Go Youth Challenge, that's for our students who are through the Youth Challenge program. So we awarded for spring 13,000 and 24,000 for the fall, so we only had $50,000 meant to be spent down, so we probably will run out of money during the fall semester. We have made the National Guard personnel aware that money which they have left, like 14,000 or so, and they'll be requesting additional funding to support that program. It's just kind of cyclical because there are 3 youth camps across the state, one in the Minden area, one in the Alexandria area, and there's the one in Parkville. And they graduate at different times throughout the year. Some students decide to go the military route, some decide to go to college some way. So there's no, it's not, you can't still, we have 20 graduates and they have to go to school. Some of them do different things. So that's why the funding is still set up the way it is. So now then we'll talk about MJ Foster.
Morning, everyone. So we had a couple of fiscal updates with Jim Foster this and last week. We consulted with our fiscal department, found out that we had a difference in our refund calculations. So we actually had an additional $831,396.44 available to award to students. That put us part of the way in December. We continue to process an order to receive. Those will process this afternoon. We'll know if there's any significant additional funding after that, but if everything goes through, we'll have $130.03 remaining after that. And then once that processing does go through, I'll be able to start providing final reports for this year about spending for different categories and everything like that.
Next slide. Right. On the tax update, there was questions last month about the funding for Ms. Gaines. Member's not here today because Michael Gaines, but I worked with Connor, our data persons at Claiborne office. And so this is current, Southern University system, I think he had 1.7 million, was actually 3,049,000 for that. So that variance was not 100%, it's really 16% uptick from that. So that's the payments as of June 1st with all the systems that are listed there, Lakewood, LCT, LSU, out of state, proprietary, Southern and UL system. So it's up 2.5% for the year from 24-25. I think that's the last three.
Yeah, and foster application. So that is the goal, we were getting everything approved as far as what we can send out to schools, but yes, July 1 phase.
And that was really gonna be, that is what my update was gonna be on MJ Foster, where our target date is July 1 for MJ Foster, the new application we have. We'll have additional 14.5 million, again, we still have to process in the order that we receive, but we are not going to do a verified status anymore or a pre-bill status. You are going to bill based on the census date, so that is going to be the change. We're going to simplify and go back to census date billing. And but that information is going out.
I mean, as soon as possible, we're just getting the right wording on it approved. We'll be notifying schools before we notify students that the application is over. And
Yes.
sending out basically a bulletin with all of these subjects, so the 2% page, the one to the original payment processing as opposed to the pre-billing. Notifying about that increase in the budgets and stuff.
Those are the big changes in MJ Foster.
Our census state building for, because like workforce non-credit doesn't have a traditional census state, right? So
Right.
they could register the last week of the semester.
So the way it's written in the law is, your traditional census state for semester schools, or if it is a non-traditional school, it's gonna be after the 520 or a fund. So that would, which you would expect them to go by, because that's not.
So I'm thinking of a college who has a second 8-week class. They don't even allow that student to register for that second 8-week class until well after class day of the traditional term. So when can I bill for those students?
So like say.
Like their 7th day of their census day?
So it would depend on when, the last day is for them to receive it. It's.
The record maybe, it's what you- I mean, the student has to actually be in the class. We're trying, I think, to stop, I mean, we've had so many refunds this year because of the pre-billing. And then the student they didn't show up. They weren't in the class.
Just scenarios.
Just,
Because in that way we can kind of figure out,
I think that'd be fine.
because like workforce.
Yeah, I get it.
Have the traditional census data.
No, I get it, I get it.
So I'll send you some.
That sounds great. Yeah.
That's the way it's written in the law.
It's in the rules that way, yeah. But
But
with
certain
scenarios,
areas-
we can provide a clear guidance.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be helpful to
because
us.
for us, some people workforce bill, some in credit bill, some in so.
I mean, we wanna be fair and we wanna do what makes sense.
Yeah.
So definitely send us those scenarios so we can work through.
Right, got it.
Perfect. Robin, did you have anything to add about, while we're on this interim executive director update? Mainly, we just wanted to provide y'all the new information about MJ Foster, and the big changes that were coming, July 1. We do think it's gonna be cleaner, but let's work through. I hope I can get past December, paying bills, right? I like to really be able
Can
to.
we please give someone in this some money?
That is,
Yeah.
right, that someone in the spring actually gets some money this year, so, but definitely, let's work with, directly with the board and on those scenarios, because I want to do what makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. And that's me.
Easy, all right, we're gonna move into new business. Okay, 1, MJ Foster Promise Program rulemaking. Consider rulemaking to implement Act 642 of the 2026 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature with respect to the MJ Foster Promise Program.
So this one is easy.
Yeah.
Okay,
This one simply pauses the decrease in age for 2 years.
Yes.
So for the next 2 years, students will have to be at least 21, and then a report is due. By the end of those 2 years to demonstrate whether or not this had any effect on money, on number of completions and different things like that. And they will determine at that time whether they're gonna make that pause permanent or if it will go down. So that's what it's doing.
And in conjunction with this, we're also doing a study on a kind of a whole scale study of kind of these programs, because again, when MJ Foster was created, it was intended to be for adult learners, and then the law changed to move it down, and so we started running out of funding, but then every year we were adding a whole new cohort of students till we got to 17. So we're real happy that this is gonna pause it, go back to 21, give us an opportunity to study, in addition to getting some additional funding, so that we can level set the program and determine, okay, is this the right amount of funding that we need? Because as you said, I'd like to be able to fund students in the spring. You know, they start a program that takes more than, I mean, some of these programs are 2 semesters. Right. And then they get in a program and we say, we're gonna help you pay for this program, and then there's no funding for the spring semester. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, and one more note, students who are not 21.
Yeah.
But who were eligible as a 20-year-old or 19-year-old will be able to continue in there.
Yeah, they're grandfathered.
Right, motion to approve. Brad, second, Katie. I'll take you as a second. All in favor, say aye. Any nays? Motion carries. The next one is possible banking acts for the 2026 regular session. Louisiana Legislature considerable banking to implement Act 794, Act 695, and Act 355 of the 2026 regular session. Louisiana Legislature with respect to TOPS.
Yes. This is the more complicated. The first one is the veterans bill. So this was in effect a number of years ago. For 3 years, it was not really well publicized. And now we are working to move to publicize it even more. So it has been put back into the law, will be effective immediately. So that rulemaking basically just says it's now effective again.
But that's for TOPS 10.
That's for TOPS Tech only. It does remove the ACT requirement. And in that they had added a provision that the veteran would have to provide their DD 214, which we already had.
We did.
So we didn't need to really do anything but delete the ACT requirement.
But they also, they have to have this DD 214 from a Louisiana.
Yeah.
Service facility. That's one of the requirements.
Then the second bill, Act 695, is the integrated math bill, which will allow students to substitute Algebra 1 and integrated math, geometry and integrated math 2, and Algebra 2, integrated math 3, all over the place, instead of the whole series.
And I'll just add here, we have had Algebra 1, geometry, Algebra 2, and some type of advanced math or integrated math 1, 2, 3, 4 for years. I mean, these courses have been around since I was at the Department of Education, gosh, a long time ago. It's really 10 years ago. And so these courses are solid and around, and they have actually ensured that they really do have the content necessary that would prepare a student for A, graduation, B, the ACT. So I think this makes a lot of sense. I mean, students were getting caught transferring schools. They were in one school on an integrated math track, and then they would change high schools because their parents transferred, and then what are they supposed to do? So I think this makes a lot of sense.
And then we have Act 794, which makes some changes to TOPS Tech initial eligibility requirements and continuing. The initial eligibility requirements has added that a student may qualify with the GPA on the core, the ACT, or the 9 early college credits. Right. They have to have 2 of the 3.
9 credit hours, yeah.
Yes, so they have to have 2 of 3, so if they didn't do really that well on the ACT or work piece, then they could have the GPA on the core and the college credit and still qualify. And then the continuing eligibility requirement. Let me preface this by saying, with the initial eligibility, those go into effect for 2027 graduates. Because they've got to do all the programming in STS so that it can transfer over to us to determine eligibility. The continuing eligibility requirements are effective with this upcoming academic year. Students may now enroll part with top 10. That's right. Part-time means anything less than 12.
That goes into effect now.
That's for the 26-27 academic year. Yes. And then we have a number of core requirements to implement the computer science requirement that was effective, well, that will be effective for 2031 graduates. As you remember, you can do computer science as a math, as a science, or as a foreign language. And what was determined, there would be different courses depending on whether you took it as math, as a science, or as a foreign language. So those are in here, they're all listed in the proposal that I sent y'all. There's four for math, 5 for computer science. And as of right now, there's only 2 for foreign language. So that is what this will be. Any questions?
Wait, foreign language there's 4 total currently, do we have 2?
But there's 4 total for, so, yeah.
There's computer science and then there's a course and then there's like computer science as a foreign language 1 and 2. But you can't mix computer science as a foreign language 1 and 2 with computer science and other.
That's correct.
They have to have those 2 or
That's
these.
correct.
Yeah, so.
That's correct.
But there's a 4th one.
Sorry.
No, that's correct. That's right.
Sounds good. Any questions? We're just like, motion to approve. Second. Chrissy, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. All right, the next is returning out of state student exception. Consider and act upon the attached request for exception to the top regulatory provision that requires a student to submit supporting documentation for their application to return out of state college by the deadline set forth administrative rules.
So what happened in this case?
Thanks.
Yes, a student had gone to school out of state. They returned to Louisiana. They submitted their application timely, but they did not submit the documentation to support that application in a timely manner. School they attended in Louisiana billed for them as a first-time full-time student in a spring semester, even though they knew that that student had attended out of state. I would also want to point out that this is a rule. This is not an exception to the law itself. This is an administrative rule that the student is requesting that we provide an exception for, since they had no reason to know there was a problem because their award was being paid. Until they decided they wanted to go to summer school this summer, and they requested a summer payment. We got to dig in their records to make sure they were eligible. Yes.
So, any questions? This one,
Or so.
and the second.
Second.
Somebody was.
Mike.
I borrowed some money.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Motion
Thank you all.
carries. 2 more,
Sticky.
actually.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I was thinking one. All right, TOPS home study exceptions. Consider the attached request for exception to the top statutory provision that requires a student to begin a home study program no later than
So we have 4 requesting home study exceptions. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Yes, ma'am.
Do we ever deny any home study? Have we ever, when they come and say, we didn't enroll soon enough, do we ever say, that sorry?
We have denied one because it was very clear that it was a choice. It was not based on any circumstances outside the student's control. We did work with that student for several months and their parents trying to get some reason that was outside their control, and we had nothing but a letter saying, this is what we want to do. Thank you, but there is only one of those that I recall.
Well, we just seem to now getting a lot more requests to not do the home study following the time that you have to enroll.
I do think there's a lot of it that has to do with just kind of the shifting of spectrum home study. Home study has become a much more popular option.
It's true.
Because of situations. But I mean, it's just becoming more option.
Well, that may be very true. But we did receive lots of requests for exception to this home study deadline before we were allowed to grant them. Lots of them.
So back, and maybe you can get me up to speed, Robin, or maybe any of you on the commission who've been here for a while will know. What is the rationale for the 10th grade? Like what was the rationale for why they have to submit the paperwork by the conclusion of the 10th grade? I mean, a lot happens in a family's situation that might cause them to choose by the end of the 11th grade to make the choice that the senior year would be the year that they would home study. I'm not advocating for or against anything. I'm just curious. Or you can certainly talk to me about it offline if we can have this conversation later, but is this, I didn't know if there was why the 10th grade was selected.
Sent to the legislation. Study.
This has been in the legislation
So it's in
since
law.
home study was allowed. So
Yes,
it's
me.
in law.
Okay,
If I'm remembering correctly, and I'll have to go back and look at it, but if I'm remembering correctly, because I've been here since 1999,
right,
is that in order for the home study students, because when the law was initially
right,
written back in 1996, 1997, there was no provision for alternate eligibility. So if you were out of state, if you were home study, whatever, they did not, the legislator said no.
right.
So the home study community lobbied, and I think because of that lobbying, that's what got added in, but the legislators wanted to make sure that by the end of 10th grade, they were on that course for home
Gotcha.
study, and they weren't.
So
And this also prevented a flip flop, so I think home study in 9th grade, go to public school, home study in 11th grade, and go to public school.
I got
So I think that's the rationale behind it. I could be wrong, I have to go back and look it up.
Is this what put it? And so it says, deadline, Prince High School are abruptly switching home study to escape 4 grades or strict graduation requirements of traditional schools, ensuring they master the same standardized core curriculum as public and private schools. Where that's coming from?
yeah, right, of course.
But that was what I was thinking in my head, is that they probably developed that because that they wanted to have at least the standardized level of curriculum in either case, and that jumping between the two, if you're in 11th grade and you're doing Roth and Z jump to home study last year, just graduate. That
Makes sense, I just see, and that's what the exceptions are for, if someone becomes ill and cannot be on the physical site of the campus the last year, that might happen during their senior year or during and then that would be a reason for this exception. I don't, just asking questions.
And I know a lot of home study parents have a lot of home studiers in a church, but one of the reasons they home study is to have freedom of choice. Because they may want to teach a religious course to their students that they believe in and they're not, or if they may not want to teach evolution, which is required in public schools, that kind of thing, so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Did we ever bring this up?
No. Yes, that's what needed to happen, sorry. Yeah.
Motion to approve Lady, or just talking about, is that second?
Second.
Agree. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, our last one. Consider the request for exception to TOPS regulatory provisions that require students to remain continuously enrolled and to earn the annual credit hours required during the year. our traditional exceptions. We always have.
I asked, because I've been, there seemed to be another one that we approved was in the case of number 3, the mission thing, and they took off and they sat out, whatever. Well, let me put this frame around this because the home study thing frames this nicely. I'm sure as all of you are aware, there's gonna be a big study done by the Catholic Avenue Walker Center that says you must get your information from LASPA for all of this. And so, and remember, we had several legislatures who were going to say, if you drop out of school, you're gonna have to repay. That was the impetus this year. That was the big thing. And luckily there are some legislators who can figure out how to get around that without getting all the notorious press. So there will be some studies here, like it would be interesting, or we may get into it that says, okay, the home study people do just as well staying in the state. Here's the data, here's what we know, because this whole thing is focused on what's the return of investment on TOPS. And that's gonna include everything. That's right. So that's the framework. I have a little, I don't understand. Some awards are canceled. Fall, high school graduate class is the same. Awards canceled 1 semester, awards canceled 2 semesters. And Robin explained that. You might want to say why this changes, because it seems to me we're getting a lot of these that are kind of all over the place.
Yes, they are all over the place for cancellations. So if a student is canceled for failure to make 24 hours, those cancellation letters usually go out late August, early September, because the students have the whole academic year from the beginning of fall till the very end of summer. So if it's a 24-hour issue, they will be sent the cancellation late August, early September, assuming that their school has sent grades in a timely manner. For non-continuous enrollment, meaning they didn't enroll at all, I believe programming still allows a 9-month period before we send out a cancellation letter, because students can move schools. Students can also go here 1 year and then go out of state and then come back. And we have seen that where students will go out of state 1 semester and they'll come back in the spring. And we don't want the cancellation in the system until we can process that returning out of state. Other schools bill later. So it could be that a student enrolled in fall at a different school. We didn't get the bill till November. So you don't want to cancel immediately after the census date if you don't get a bill, because they could be enrolled somewhere else that just hasn't billed yet. Resignations, the schools are supposed to submit resignations immediately. Some do, some don't. So if a student resigns, some schools, they will get canceled immediately. Any month, any week of the month, it doesn't matter. Some schools where we don't get the resignations till the end of the semester, we might not cancel them until May or December, August, or late in the year. So it really doesn't have anything to do with their graduation date. It has more to do with why their award is canceled and what school they attend and how timely the billing and the reporting of grades is.
And you also have students that may be switching from a semester system. They decided to go, fall somewhere and like, then I don't like this, I'm gonna go to like a cosmetology or a trade school. And those are more term schools where they may not start on January 15th, they may have to wait till the March to start or whatever.
We have always had those. It just appeared to me this time, and it may have been the number 3 just kind of set off a lot of things of confusion and questioning. And as I know going forward, House Resolution 17 says, oh, look, you're gonna have this in, and this report has to come back to the legislature by February the 7th.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and so I don't know, I would be interested in kind of getting some updates about where you think you're going. you have WASPA, besides having excellent staff, and you have excellent resources here sitting at this table. Who can come in and say to this people responding to House Resolution 17, this is what's going on in the trenches. And we have to see this because I don't want there's not much control. The thoughtfulness seems to be, we're just kind of wandering around here, and sometimes we're not going well. And that's just my concern for some of these things. So if there's something that this commission can do and its members, I would urge people like Christine Bradley to do that, because it could be a big deal. I think people did not, there was a glimmer, yes, and we've had this before, you need to repay your tops if you don't satisfy us. If you don't stay in the state, you have to repay your tops, or you don't get tops if you don't stay in the state and work for 2 years. And then we're gonna say, well, if you drop out for some reason, if an exception is an exception, not getting tops, is it getting tops? You're gonna have to pay that back. Is this, and luckily you had people who understood and said, well, that's really not what tops is supposed to do. But next year's an election year, so it'll be crazier too. Well, the posture, that's all. If everyone else, I have no concerns, I have concerns with number 3 because it makes me a little queasy to say you can take a whole year off. For no reason other than I want to go on a mission program.
But isn't there precedent that we approved mission trips?
There is precedent.
There's precedent that we haven't do that.
But that person had enrolled.
And this person did too, I misspoke when we were talking earlier, this person did enroll for a semester or 2. But they changed schools, that was the situation with this student, so they couldn't get the letter for exceptional educational opportunity. Usually, these students are able to get a letter from their school, but it's more difficult when they switch from one school to another to get that letter, because they don't necessarily have a dean who can write that letter for them. So.
Well, and I'll say this too, like, I mean, if while in college, they realize that this may be an avenue they need to go to, we don't know what's gonna happen when they come back. And I think that's also, let's take a chance on it, because during that time, they may have grown in areas that they wouldn't have grown in here and are able to come back, and maybe they've shifted and they've changed their ideas of what they want to do. So, I mean, the fact that you said they have enrolled, like, I don't necessarily think sometimes these students, as they're going through, we already know the COVID part of it, like, there's just a little bit of a maturity aspect on some of them that just happened during that time frame. So I'm not opposed to this one because of that situation. Like, we don't know what's going to happen after that event occurred. I don't know what occurred on this fishing corps, but I do know that growth happens when you take those trips and you move away from what you have consistently done for 14, 16, years of school, and then you have this gone. So, and there are no more, I mean, like,
No, I mean, and then I'll say this, I mean, to your point. Sitting out for no reason, obviously not a starter, but that maturity catch up is extremely impactful. I'm a complete person that same situation happened to. I sat out of college for 9 months, working 2 jobs, and said, this sucks. I'm going back. So just new and a lot more deliberate, because you shift out of the immature mindset of high school and all this other stuff into, okay, this is my real life mindset, and so you take it more seriously. Now, my situation didn't fall, I sat out to the court, right, but for opportunities like this, for exceptional education opportunities, like that can stimulate a significant amount of growth that ultimately pushes the student over the finish line versus what they might actually occur. They might have got to 3rd year, 4th year, something like that by staying in and then never finished. Like, so this could have been that catalyst. So I treat these and exceptional education opportunities in that lens of, okay, I mean, if it's a legitimate thing, activity that they're doing that is going to stimulate potentially personal growth or educational growth, then that could be what pushes them across the finish line.
Good point. These are the kinds of stories that I need to be told during.
Don't do what I do.
No, but I really do, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, it's not, it's very difficult to say, well, this student left, and so he or she's gonna have to repay the whole thing, and this student sat out for a year because. And then he got some growth and he came back and he's very successful, and now you've got two students that kind of did the same thing, and one has to repay and one doesn't, and that's what the legislature. It was the strongest push I've ever seen.
It was.
Well, but this is merit based, there's the difference there. Like, this is a merit based program, it's not based on, you know, it's not law based, you know, so I think as it goes forward, I mean, it's written there in the. It started like 98, 99. I mean, that's what it's been for, so there have probably been countless people that have not finished, and then there have been so many other ones that did. So I think that's part of the push for it, like, I mean, this is no matter what your financial need base is, your still able to earn this based on your academic achievements.
Well, and we really do want to use this study to prove the return on investment and why this is a good thing and why it should not be a loan-based program, because it is based on, it is a merit-based program based on what you did in high school, you earn it, and then you keep it. For instance, everybody knows my two children, both of them lost their jobs and never regained it back. This is why this is so important for me, because I mean, and I have one who went to community college, has no student loan debt, and I have one who finished at a four-year institution, has a significant amount of student loan debt. They did not continue and receiving TOPS. The state did not continue paying into TOPS. They did not make their grades or their 24-hour requirement, and they lost funds. So the punishment or the consequence occurred.
Shouldn't have a double.
And so yes, there was one semester that was paid that they did not get, you know, make their grades or whatnot, and so then the state did not continue encouraging that behavior by paying their tuition.
Right.
So I mean, the consequence happened, I mean, both of my sons are perfect examples of that, so we're gonna push against that hard and continue, I promise you, to push against that hard.
Oh, it's not people like me, it's people.
Oh, I know.
It's,
Oh, trust me, I know.
it's the press, what, you know,
I know.
I look at to say. I would have never have assumed that they'd take money out of the MFP to pay teacher stipends. And we have to resolve that, I know that you will do that, and I just encourage you to use the resources that these
Right,
people.
and we are.
Supplied, because it's the stories.
That's
that
right.
Legislators and these people will remember.
That's right.
Well, and like the point there, people lose all day long and still contribute
That's
to
right.
Louisiana taxes.
That is correct.
To the economy, so.
That's correct.
But they are, that's right, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion to approve this one. I made a motion. Right, Christie, a second? Second, Jamie?
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Is there any other business? I do have a question for MJ Foster and all the tops. Is also gonna do a webinar to highlight all of these changes for the colleges? Really request.
Sure, absolutely. Yes.
I it's nice.
We can do a webinar.
So many changes.
There are.
And I think, like, an email is one thing, but being able to be into a place where we can ask questions, I think,
Yeah, no, I think we can do that. I think what we're trying to do is get out the information as fast as possible by email, but I think we can
So I
certainly.
think.
Okay, perfect.
So you want that for,
Yes.
Okay.
so you want that financial aid or admissions or both or both?
And there's changes that affect counselors, like, I don't know what our next counselor webinar is, but sometime in the fall. Right, so.
Well, we can roll it all together.
We'll go over at our stipulation and then we'll have our webinars.
That's a great
idea. I was just like,
We can do that.
we have our colleges.
Right, y'all already do that.
I'm just saying.
Right, so one of the
We issue the bullets whenever.
Yeah.
The bullets will go out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tons of some changes, stuff we put out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to mention one other thing. With the passage of the bill allowing Board of Regents to enter a contract for the 529 suite. There is gonna be extensive rulemaking and we did not have sufficient time to get that done to bring to this board. And it will be going to the Board of Regents. Intent is for it to go, I'm sorry, to LADA, the Joint Trust Authority, and as well as we're acknowledged to this advisory board, but we will just provide just the copies. Once we have a draft.
Yeah, we'll send that to you.
Because it's gonna be fairly extensive because there are so many changes. So it'll be to
And
the
then
entire suite.
what we'll do for the August board meeting is we'll have Bentley Smith here at that meeting and we'll have her in shape so that y'all can ask her any questions that you might have about 529, the crossover to 529.
The reason I say that for the counselor part of it, because, I mean, this summer, we're on a little bit of summer break right now. I already got 2 text messages from different counselors asking me, is this the year that American history versus civics? Now, that's not a top question, but it's also a diploma track graduation requirement. And there were, like, last year, there were like 8 different things, like depending on what entry year, and then we have grad year, but if they graduate early, then they're a different entry year. So the way that y'all have it divided out on the website, which y'all talk about the website changes. I mean, like, there are times that I'll know, because I had to make my own little spreadsheet, but I'll go back to check to make sure, is this, wait, here is computer science year, was this, because that was another question I got, well, did they really change this? I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, it was this, you know, as whatever, like, I can go back and reference.
moved it back.
But I had to go look, because even on the Department of Ed, they don't have, like, we're typically a little bit ahead because we're trying to get it in motion before. But they won't put on there until it's that entry year, so like the 30-31, like, we're trying to prepare ahead of time for it. It's not there yet, like on there what the requirements are, because they're not a 9th grader yet. But some schools have to deal with 7th and 8th grade, like there are some that are 7th through 12. So trying to prepare, it's hard for us as counselors that are looking, because you have your IGPs and you're looking at this information, well, it's like, wait, which one are you, okay, and when you have 2,000 kids at a school, it's really hard to make sure nobody falls through the crack. Like right now, it's getting a little bit easier. When I say easier, I mean, it was 8, now it's like 6 different things, and then it'll be 4, and then it'll go back to like 6. So, I mean, it is very stressful with all the load that counselors have, like high school counselors have, trying to make sure that they get this, and they get this, and they qualify for this. It's a whole lot in addition to everything else, scheduling and everything else going on. So that's why I say thank you for how y'all have it divided out. Like, I mean, it's class of 26, class of 27, class of this through this. I mean, it's very helpful because I reference it so much. So when y'all make those changes on the website, thank you for making it a little bit easier, but please make sure that they are still there. Because I really do rely on that, and then I have to go back here. So, thank you.
Alright, our next meeting date is Thursday, August 20th. Anything else? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Brad motions to adjourn in a second. Maybe seconds, all in favor say aye. Any nays? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Okay, the food should be here. Let's